Let's begin.
Hey there, scary story fanatics. Welcome back to Cleaving Thought from Bone with your host, Sociopathic. It's time we go back into the past once again to uncover the hidden truths of Locust Lake, bringing some demons into the light. So, strap on your favorite hunting couch. It's time we get back to the woods with a little sequel that I like to call The Chronicles of RayBob, a Locust Lake story, Part 3, Give and Take. By the time RayBob had skidded to a stop in his own driveway, it was late afternoon, and he still hadn't heard from Huck. The note he had received made it sound as though Huck had been taken for ransom regarding Todd Jacobs' journal, but RayBob had yet to hear from any would-be kidnappers with any sort of demands. RayBob knew that he had to get his brother back, no matter the cost. It was his fault that his kin was wrapped up in this mess to begin with, so it was RayBob's responsibility to get him out. However, he also knew that he could not give up Todd's journal, because the lives of untold numbers of others hung in that balance as well. RayBob entered his home, sauntering his large frame towards the living room, rubbing his large forehead under the brim of his cap with his sausage-like fingers. Even before the phone rang, he knew that he was more or less stuck between a rock and a hard place, not having a whole lot of options. But the phone did indeed ring, and he already knew who it was, before he had even lifted the receiver to his ear.
"Hello?"
RayBob asked into the phone. There was a dead silence for a moment, but RayBob said nothing more. He knew that whoever had called was indeed there, and had certainly heard him. "Hello, Mr. Bruce. You don't know who I am, but you can consider me an interested party regarding your little trinket you received earlier this week." A voice on the other end spoke up with a confident and condescending tone.
"Who in the Sam hell is this? Where's my brother?"
RayBob demanded into the phone. "Who I am is of no concern to you. What I have and what I want, however, is your brother is safe and alive, I can assure you. How long he stays like that is up to you."
"What in the hell do you want?"
RayBob asked, already knowing the answer. "Why, I want that book, of course. I thought that much was obvious by now. Just as I'm sure you also realize I'll stop at nothing to get it," the voice assured RayBob.
"Fine. I'll give you whatever you want. Just don't hurt my brother. I swear if you hurt..."
"Oh, please, Mr. Bruce, calm down. You know as well as I that there's nothing that you can do. Save your energy. Your squirming will do you no good. Now, I've arranged a meeting at the closed-down Creek Bend ice cream parlor out on Route 29. Be in that parking lot tonight by 10, and I assure you, your brother will be returned to you, unharmed."
"And if I don't?"
"I'm afraid you already know the answer to that." And with that, the voice on the other end of the line hung up their phone. The lack of caller ID rendered RayBob helpless in discovering who it was that had called him. But he did know exactly the place the guy was talking about. Creek Bend was an old ice cream parlor / arcade that rested dead center between two isolated towns. For years, the place was the hippest spot for local teens, mostly due to a lack of options. But when the owner died from old age, the middle-of-nowhere place sat abandoned, then derelict, then forgotten. Now all that remained of the place was an unmaintained, dusty gravel parking lot. Luckily for RayBob, the place was only a 10-minute drive from his house at the base of Locust Lake Road, leaving him plenty of time to prepare. The sky had become a starless black, thick with nightfall and cloud cover, by the time that RayBob had arrived. He knew this place well. He'd come here often as a child. An old barn stood erect in this very spot, creating some of the most memorable moments of his childhood. Now, the arcade, the ice cream shop, the mini golf set up out back, and even the building itself were all gone. He was here to rescue his brother, but he couldn't help but momentarily let nostalgia enter his veins, thinking about how things had changed around here, how this community had never been able to thrive, and now that he was older, he understood why. There was an evil here, and not just the curse on the Locust Lake region itself, but also coming from those that lived here. An evil spreading across the entire county like a plague. As RayBob sat in his pickup and contemplated, a lone pair of headlights appeared over the horizon of the hill on the road, slowing before the deserted lot containing RayBob's truck and pulling in. It was a small, black 4-door Camry, and from the looks of it, it wasn't even a year old. Sure, it was dark, and he had yet to leave his truck, but if there was one thing RayBob knew better than hunting monsters, it was cars, and all he needed was to see the shape of the headlights to make out the make and model of nearly any vehicle. RayBob sat in silence for moments, awaiting the vehicle to shut off its headlights or the driver to step from its confines. A long few seconds passed and nothing happened. The car remained shining its lights in RayBob's direction, and no doors had opened. RayBob heaved his large frame with a sigh, reluctantly opening the door to his truck and stepping from it.
"That's quite far enough,"
A sly voice called out to RayBob just as he closed the driver's side door behind him. RayBob squinted his eyes towards the vehicle's headlights. He could have sworn that no one had gotten out, but then he realized that their window was open.
All right, then how do you want to go about this then?
RayBob questioned.
"Well, first, you're gonna hand over that book, nice and easy."
Well, how in tarnation am I gonna do that with you letting me not move an inch? And besides, how do I know my brother's okay?
"Well, you stay right there and don't move an inch. I'll come to you. He's here with me,"
the man responded, now getting out of his vehicle. The man's dark clothes, large-brimmed hat, and bright headlight didn't assist RayBob with ascertaining any more of the man's details, but he could at least now see the tall, slender form of a man garbed in all dark clothing, face obscured by shadow.
Okay, well that's well and good and all, but how do I know you're not lying?
"You don't. You're just gonna have to take my word for it,"
the man hissed, stepping in front of his headlights, leaving him nothing more than a dark silhouette.
"Okay, so where's the book, Mr. Bruce?"
It's in my bag in the truck. Can I get it?
"Yes, but slowly. and don't try anything funny,"
the man threatened. RayBob couldn't be sure, but he assumed the man was backing up his demands with an unseen firearm. Slowly, RayBob turned towards his truck, grabbed a duffel bag from the passenger seat, and turned with it in hand, slowly unzipping it for the man before him, before reaching inside. The shotgun inside the bag slashed a hole through the canvas, the buckshot tearing through it before burying itself mostly deep into the man's chest before him, the rest of it taking out the driver's side headlight. RayBob set the bag down on the ground, but not the shotgun, keeping it tight in his grip, and pointed right at the man lying on the gravel before him. Upon close inspection, he did not recognize the man's face, but he could tell by his voice that this was not the man that he spoke to on the phone. Giving him a nudge with his right foot, RayBob confirmed that the man was deceased. RayBob's focused stare was broken by the sound of loud thumping coming from the trunk of the car that the unidentified man had driven up in. He wasn't sure at the time, he only hoped, but once popping the trunk and looking inside, RayBob was relieved to find that the man was telling the truth. A bound and visibly shaken Huck lay cramped in the small space, barely large enough to contain his bulk. RayBob quickly untied his binds and pulled the gag out from his mouth.
"God damn it, you muttonhead! What in the hell took you so long?"
Huck asked as he climbed out of the trunk and sauntered with his brother, limping towards his pickup.
"He wanted to trade you for the book. I didn't name the time, he did. But I got you as fast as I could."
Huck stared down at the corpse between the two vehicles. His eyes had been locked inside the trunk for so long, his vision had adapted to the darkness. A tall man dressed in all black lay in the dirt at his feet. Blood pooled around him and mixed with the dirt that he laid upon, creating a sticky and mucky mess to walk through. A gaping wound was present dead center in the man's chest, and upon closer inspection, it appeared as though half his face had been peeled away by the buckshot as well. Even if Huck or RayBob could have identified who this man truly was, there weren't enough facial features to do so. Now, all that was left on one side was a bloody and meaty bulb at the top of his neck that dangled dark hair and pale skin from it.
"So, wait, you didn't give him the book?" "Well, no, I couldn't. These people cannot get their hands on it. Too much is at stake." "How did you know I'd be in the trunk?" "I didn't until he told me. The plan was honestly to look for you later. Raymond, those guys were gonna cut me into pieces. Look at what they did to my leg, for Christ's sake."
Huck spat out, pointing to the large gash on his right calf. RayBob bent down to inspect it. The wound was bad, but would heal without complication, as long as it was taken care of.
"Listen, we need to get you out of here. I'm sorry I couldn't just hand over Todd's journal to these people. They're obviously trying to bring back the evil to Locust Lake." "Again with that nonsense. You still believe that strongly in all those ghost stories, huh?"
Huck said, climbing into the passenger side of the truck. RayBob walked around and got into the driver's seat next to him after getting his brother inside.
"Huck, listen. It's not nonsense. It's not just a ghost story. I was there, and I helped stop it once before, and I have no intention of going through that hell again."
RayBob finished, and Huck said nothing. He still wasn't quite ready to accept the existence of ghosts and supernatural killers, but the nefarious people after him and his brother were certainly real enough, and at the very least, he considered giving his older brother the benefit of the doubt. RayBob turned onto the road, but headed the opposite direction of home.
"What are you doing?" "You need a hospital, Huck.
RayBob explained, and Huck reluctantly conceded. Huck would make a full recovery, but would be resigned to a hospital bed for a few days. The doctor said he would regain full mobility of his leg, but the nerve damage caused may generate the need for time and physical therapy for a full recovery. RayBob told his brother that he would be dropping off his vehicle the following morning and catching a ride home via cab. But Huck was more than nervous for his brother, feeling that he wasn't yet out of danger. That's when RayBob assured him the man who took him was dead, and with any luck, no one would be able to figure out how. RayBob left shortly after, allowing his brother to get some much-needed rest. But RayBob knew the truth. Again, that was not the man that he had heard on the phone, and he was more than sure than ever that this was far from over.
Well, if you're psyched for the epic conclusion, you won't have to wait much longer. The Chronicles continue with the finale next month. But if you can't wait that long for more gore galore, just stop in again next weekend for a story dripping with fear. And until then, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so I can catch you all again next Saturday.
Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.